Hi, this is Andy Holzman. We're having our Valentine's Day edition of our Family Tree podcast. Mark Smith will be joining us very shortly to add his 2 cents on our Valentine's Day edition of love and intimacy. So I was thinking of doing a little of about what intimacy is, and if you have any questions, if you have any comments, and hopefully they're kind of coming through. We're coming through. We were having a little technical difficulties a few minutes ago. So if you're seeing us, let us know. And like I said, Mark will be here in a little bit. And if you have any questions, you have any thoughts, feel free to put them on the stream. Okay? So it being Valentine's Day, it being the day for love and connection, I was thinking, um, well, what is intimacy? What is closeness? And if you read the Gary Chapman book, The Five Love Languages, there are different ways that people express love, like gifts, which is a big thing on Valentine's Day, words of affirmation, quality time, touch, acts of service are the five that he talks about. In terms of intimacy, in terms of closeness, I think there are different ways that it gets defined. And so I was thinking there are like four ways um, that you can talk about intimacy. And one of them is intellectual, where you're just sharing ideas and you're comfortable enough in that um, area to talk about things that are important to you. So that wouldn't necessarily be a lover. It could be, but it could be just someone who you feel close to, maybe either at work or as a friend who you're intimate in that way. You're um, similar in things that you talk about or comfortable in talking about things. Hi everybody, happy Valentine's Day. Another one is experiential, where you do things together. So you might be someone who has tickets to the football game and you always sit near someone else, or you go with someone else and you're enjoying things that you both enjoy together. Um, that's a type of intimacy as well. So I think there are different levels of intimacy before we get to the next one, which is emotional. And here we're getting into the sense of, people who are closer, a couple, people who love each other. And so, with emotional intimacy, you can be real, you can share feelings. Um, Sexual, the next one, of course, you're being much more vulnerable, being much more real, you're sharing your body, you're being the very private self. Emotional and sexual are hopefully reserved for people that you really, really love and are really connected to. So for intimacy, there can be barriers, right? We all have ways that we are shut down from being close. And I think, on this channel and on this live stream and our family tree videos, we talk a lot about trauma. We talk a lot about things that prevent people from being their real self. And trauma is something that can influence every aspect of your life. And one of the ways that I think of in terms of myself, because, my trauma was early. My trauma was the loss of a parent when I was pretty young. It kind of made me more sensitive to, I don't know, not being comfortable with being myself in some ways. So I became an observer, which is a good job for a therapist, right? A good job is to be an observer and to listen and to talk. But I found myself at an early age living that way a lot and observing people and kind of pulling back and not being real and not saying what I wanted to say. So trauma can affect you that way. It can affect you in ways where you become a narcissistic abuser. You can become, a shutdown person. One of the ways that I think trauma affected me was kind of being more codependent, more kind of waiting around and, kind of not, like I said, putting myself out there. And it became a barrier to me taking chances and being real. And so I think, the barriers to um, intimacy can be manyfold and multitudinous, right? You can find ways that you're not being yourself or being comfortable with yourself. And so communication issues was one way, secrets is another way. If you have secrets in your relationship, that prevents you from being this person who feels comfortable enough, and sometimes families have secrets and you learn how to be secretive and you keep yourself hidden and you find someone who can be okay with that. And if you're in a relationship where you're with someone who's okay with secrets, even if it's inadvertent, you're preventing some level of closeness and intimacy. And I think that's a big problem in relationships, in my experience of working with people, that they're not talking to each other about who they really are, or they don't know how to talk to each other about who they really are. And with secrets, you're kind of not trusting that who you are and what you feel and what you care about is important enough to the other person in the relationship. So I see a lot of people talking to each other here, and if that's good, because that's important. And if what I'm saying has anything that you want to ask me about, or there's something you want to talk about, please feel free. I just think, we're talking about intimacy, we're talking about closeness, and there are things, like I said, the barriers can be secrets or communication issues. People communicate in different ways. Time, sometimes people try to rush intimacy. They try to jump into a relationship too quickly, or they hold back. But, if you're with someone and they want to move in with you or marry you after the first or second date, that would be something to be wary of, because intimacy does take time. An important thing is being self-aware. I think that's a major thing. If you're kind of working on yourself and you're working on what you have to do, when I work with someone who jumps from relationship to relationship and they're counting on the other person to be there for them, that kind of codependent sense, that's pretty unhealthy. So what you want to do is be more aware of what you need for yourself, what you need in the relationship. And if you can do that, it can be a healthier relationship. Sometimes being a game player or a person who doesn't really know themselves and want intimacy can be a problem, of course. So, anyway, I think the major thing, like I was talking about, is being aware. If you're going to have any kind of intimacy in your life, you have to be aware of what you need and what you want. And here's Mark. Hey, Mark.
Hey, Andy. So tell me what you've been talking about here.
I was just talking about intimacy and kind of barriers to intimacy and maybe ways
that way.
All right.
Try to squeeze in.
I don't know if I can. It might be.
Intimacy and barriers to intimacy.
Yeah.
Hello,
Hello.
folks. Hello. Andy and I used to sing in a barbershop quartet
That's
back
right.
in the day.
Without the other two.
Let me scooch over just a little bit more.
It's two old men in a video stream.
Two cranky old men. Normally we got pretty ladies sitting there instead of you.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. How's everybody doing? So, what do you want to talk about?
I don't know. What's the subject of the day is...
Why don't we talk about you?
Me?
Yeah.
All right.
And just hi, Jillian. Am I saying it right? Soren, what's up, dog? The kitty corral.
So somebody said, why do codependency and counterdependency meet in the middle with the rescuing behavior? Huh.
You want to tackle that one?
I don't know. Let's see. Why did codependency and counterdependency meet in the middle?
I could
Oh, you mean
tackle
because they
that.
both rescue?
They both,
I see what they're saying. Okay, yeah.
They rescue for different reasons.
Rescue for different reasons. That makes sense. So, I think both codependence and counterdependence are a lot closer in many ways than we sometimes give credit for, right? And both of them are not taking care of themselves. They're not really emotionally connected to what they need to do for themselves. Counterdependence can be cut off and kind of on their way to thinking that everything's black and white, and codependents feel like they're right in certain ways. What's that saying? Ha ha ha. Yes, we are.
When you fish for compliments, sometimes you get them.
I see. So I think rescuing is a way to feel powerful. And so whatever you call yourself, codependent, counterdependent, you want to feel like you have some ability to be there for the person that you love. I think it comes out of a good place. You see some pain in the person that you love and you want to be there for them. The problem is if you're doing it in ways where you're not taking care of yourself, then you're going to resent it. So counterdependents do it because they feel very, superior in some ways. And I think codependents feel superior too. They may not come across that way, but they can think they know what's right. So, codependency originally comes out of working with addicted folks, alcoholics, and the codependent knew what was right for the alcoholic. They knew that if that person did something different than what they were doing, they would save the family. Counterdependents just are really sure of themselves, so the rescuing comes up. Uh-oh, we got a dog here. Sorry, killer dog. So now we can really be cute.
Well, Jack, you wanted to know where the star of the show was.
Oh, the star of the show?
And clearly, Paulie is the star of the show. Well, yeah, let's talk about you.
What about me?
You
talking to me? You talking to me?
Talking to me?
You talking to me?
Talking to me?
Yeah.
So Andy and I met back in 1987.
Right.
At Family Service Association
of Indianapolis, right.
And
and I've been here at Family Tree since 1992.
Oh my goodness!
I figured
gracious.
out. Yeah.
Are we old?
No, we're just good.
We're just good.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. I look the same. I don't know about you.
You don't look the same.
I don't look the same?
No.
Not at all?
No.
Oh,
you look good, but you don't look the same. Hi, puppers, she says. So, yeah, I guess maybe some of the folks don't know you as well. And between, some of the other folks that have been on the show, that they've been through, trauma and narcissistic abuse, and you have issues, but you've been blessed to not have any violent narcissistic abuse. So I know you've talked about it some, but there's a lot of new time visitors. Talk a little bit about your issues and your struggle and journey as a therapist.
And I talked about it a little bit before you came, that it was a shock to the system. I had a intact family, and then all of a sudden my father died at age 45. I was 10 years old. And that kind of threw things. My father died, my mother went back to work, my brother went off to college, all within the space of a few months.
Wow.
So I became a latchkey kid,
wow.
Basically. My brother is 9.5 years older than I am, so he was actually going to graduate school because he was going early. It was a shock. It was a big shock, and I think it created in me, and I've told Mark this, I searching for something at 10, 11, 12. I was reading therapy books of which there, yeah, in junior high school and high school. I was reading. There weren't so many self-help books, or at least I didn't know about them. But I was reading books about therapists and kind of the 60-minute hour, I remember, and just a 50-minute hour, I think it was called, different things. And in my family, there are psychiatrists and there are therapists.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I have 2 first cousins who are psychiatrists. So It tells you how messed up my family is. Okay.
Yeah.
So I would talk to my cousin. They are older than I am. My mother is a 5th of 5 children, and the 2 psychiatrists are the sons of the first daughter. So they are 15 to 20 years older than I am. Okay, maybe I think that's right. And I remember talking to one of them, and since I was interested in art, I always drew. I drew from a little kid. I would draw to, kind of express myself. I learned about art therapy, so I'm by education an art therapist, a creative art therapist. Not that I'm a great artist by any means. I just like to draw, and I always drew, and I always expressed myself by
we'll be
drawing.
sitting in staff meeting, and Andy will be over there like writing, and you think he's like writing something like inspiring and insightful. He's doodling.
I'm doodling.
But it is inspiring.
I'm drawing faces. And in fact, they found out that people who doodle during meetings actually are taking more in. They at least one study that I believe in, right? So I will doodle, I will draw faces, I'll be drawing shapes, but that's
it's
what
a
I
creative outflow.
Right. I've always kind of taken care of myself by being someone who drew. Other people do music, other people do, whatever, play sports. That was something for me, and so that when I found out about art therapy, that was like, that's it. That's what I need to do,
Cool.
that's what I did,
yeah.
And that worked out for me. Kind of it was I went to Pratt Institute, which is a school in Brooklyn. I'm from New York, if you can't tell from the accent, and Pratt is an art school, but it had this little building where one of the art teachers who became a psychologist started this program, which is art therapy. And art therapy has been around for probably 50 or 60 or 70 years at this point, probably 60 or 70 years. But it's, it's kind of, there's art therapy, there's music therapy, there's dance therapy, there's different ways that people express themselves other than verbally. So I'd like that idea. Mostly what I do here at Family Tree is verbal, of course.
Gilligan doodles and draws a decent amount.
There you go.
So, you're one of these unusual people in the world, on the planet, who through hard work and a good decision of who you have like a healthy, workable, blessed marriage after all. How many years have you been married?
36.
36? Holy moly.
Yeah. I met my wife. We met at a child psychiatric hospital.
You weren't patients.
One of us was. No, she's a nurse, an RN. She's retired, and what I am, obviously. And we just hit it off. We hit it off right away for some reason, and feel very connected. And I think probably being in the same field helped us somewhat. We have 3 great kids. We have 2 grandsons. We work on our relationship. We certainly, I think being here at Family Tree has made it easier in some ways to realize that relationships are not easy. We irritate each other on a daily basis. We bicker on, often.
It's not bliss.
It's not bliss. It's not blessed. It's just a relationship.
Yeah.
But we are committed to...
But there's trust.
There's trust.
And there's communication.
Absolute trust.
Yeah.
Diane, that's my wife, and there's communication and there's safety in that relationship. Yeah. We're not going to hurt each other too much. We're going to misinterpret things. We're going to get on each other's nerves. We're going to be different people. I mean, part of what I've learned here at Family Tree is we are different people, and that is okay. It isn't easy when, I wish my wife would get it the way I get it and vice versa. but we can deal with that. And so we try to be there for each other and try to be supportive. And it's like, I draw and doodle and comic books and cartoons, and my wife never watched cartoons growing up. Totally different.
She didn't watch cartoons growing
She
up?
wasn't allowed. Her mother was strict.
Oh my God.
I know, crazy.
Remember
right?
when they were just on Saturday morning? And
Exactly.
how, like, Saturday morning was
Exactly.
just like, I can't wait till Saturday morning, and you'd get so excited.
Exactly. I'd be sleeping over at my friend's house, and we'd get up and get our cereal and our milk and watch the cartoons.
Yeah,
That was
sugary
great.
cereal.
Sugary cereal. Then he's roaming around, running around. Yeah. So, yeah, that's part of, I think, being here. That's why I love working with married couples or relationships, because it is a learning experience for me as well. And I think the stuff that we're dealing with, obviously I have my trauma and my wife has hers. Her family was not easy either. She had a difficult mother. So I think we can listen to each other and be there for each other, given just who we are and the work we've done. But sometimes it's the luck of the draw. I didn't know from anything at 24 years old.
So talk about particularly the kind of work that you enjoy doing, that you're gifted in. A lot of times these folks, we're dealing with complex PTSD symptoms, but there's a lot of folks watching this and tuning in that might need help in other areas. And I know you do work with that, but what's fun for you? What are you good at?
I see. Well, like I said, I think relationships have become my major forte, thinking about relationships and thinking about how people can work out their issues with each other, or think about their issues, or be connected to what's really happening. So a lot of times when you're wounded, traumatized, hurt, you're dealing with things that you're not aware of, right? You're dealing with, and you're projecting it, or you're dealing with it in your relationship. So our marital or intimate relationship is a personification of kind of our family issues, right? That's our family tree thought process, right?
Yeah.
That the person you pick has a lot to do with who you are and what you need to work through and what you need to do. So to give people that information is great. To have them think of that information, most people, of course, in the middle of a fight or the middle of some kind of marital spat or relationship thing, are not thinking about, oh, my mother did this or my father did this, or that's not what you're going to think about. But to have that knowledge, I believe, gives you something to talk about differently. Yeah. Instead of just being in the moment, it just focused on, in the moment you're going to argue. But a little bit later, you can talk about things that are more real. It's so, anyone who comes on and sits in my office and sits on my couch, they can argue about anything. They can argue about where the remote control was and, what you ordered for dinner, or anything. I had one couple, an older couple.
So let me read some of these.
So they're talking about cartoons.
Yeah, they're not listening to
No,
this.
who cares?
They're like,
we're just talking.
My mother cut the cord on the TV, so that fixed the problem. And then, what? We're not on? We're not on. Was it an internet issue? It looks like we're off. We're on, or are we off? Off. Okay. Stop streaming.
That happened twice already when I started.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's me. That last time I was here, I screwed up too.
Internet went out.
Oh.
Are y'all back?
You'll come back here?
We're having issues with the internet cutting in and cutting out tonight. So anyway, I think we're on.
Okay.
So one lady says her mother cut the cord to the TV and that fixed the problem. And this lady says she loved Bugs Bunny.
What's up, Doc? I see that.
What's up, Doc? Tweety Bird and Sylvester. So what was your favorite cartoon?
My favorite cartoon was Huckleberry Hound.
Huckleberry Hound was cool.
I loved Huckleberry Hound.
He was like so
chill.
Cool.
He was chill. He was very chill, and
nothing ever ruffled
he was
him.
kind of like also like cynical or sarcastic or whatever. So it was pretty interesting. My wife liked Tweety. She finally did watch cartoons.
Yeah. Did you ever get into any Fearless Fly?
Fearless Fly?
Fearless Fly.
No, I don't know that one.
Anybody shout out if are y'all back? Back. It stopped. Here they are. You're on now. You're back. You're back. Fearless Fly was one where his power was in his glasses, Nico. My power is in my glasses.
Really? I never saw that one.
If anybody watched Fearless Fly, give us a shout. All right. Flintstones.
Flintstones are great. Yeah.
That was
Flintstones,
good.
yeah.
The Jetsons.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
All right. Pink Panther.
Pink Panther.
There's cool, dude.
Yeah, that's for sure.
When y'all tune in to the Church for the Narcissistically Abused, we get Popeye the Sailor.
Uh-huh.
What's up?
That's right.
Yeah. We get pretty deep here.
Yeah.
We cover it all. Do you have anything else you want to share with the people about sort of your thing and sort of your, I don't know, your role in life and what kind of place you are in life and just how your recovery is working for you? You seem really happy to me. Really happy.
Well, I am. I think things are going pretty good. My kids are grown and they're doing well, and get to see them and get to see the grandkids. My son was just in for the weekend. It was his birthday on the 12th, and my other son, I have twin sons, well, the other one couldn't leave where he was, so got to talk to him. It's pretty easy and pretty satisfied. It's, I don't know sometimes if I get satisfied because I am happy, or it's just, I'm pretty easygoing. I don't need very much. I'm good with what I have. It seems like I have a lot. It seems I've been blessed with a lot. So I truly do feel happy. I just, I'm not a person who kind of, what I'm trying to say is, I think what I learned early was to be, when my dad died, my mom, we were pretty lower middle class at that point, and so I learned to get by with not very much. And luckily or unluckily, my wife is like that too, so we're pretty happy with simple things. We enjoy.
Y'all Groupon and
we
go to
Groupon.
dinner and
We
just
go,
happy with a couple
free
clams.
stuff. We go for a walk in the park.
Yeah.
So trying to. It's not like I'm always like looking for the next big thing to make
Right.
myself happy. I can be happy where I'm at in life. I'm pretty, pretty chill in that way. So, do I miss out? Maybe I'm too chill for my own good, but I'm pretty.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I envy your life, Andrew. You have a pretty cool life. So there were some late votes for Roadrunner. And there were some
Beep, beep.
comments. Beep, beep. Did you see those?
No, I just said beep, beep.
I guess that's what people do.
Yeah. I'm more, I always like cartoons. I'm trying to think, I don't know if anybody remembers Crusader Rabbit.
Crusader Rabbit.
Crusader Rabbit. It might be like one that was only a New York thing, but it was.
Never heard of that.
Yeah, I know. That was a really early one.
Huh.
Trying to think of, what did I like? Certainly liked Flintstones. That was great stuff. And kind of, it was a big deal.
Before you wrap up, tell them about your comic book convention.
Right.
I just think that's a cool factoid.
So even more so than cartoons for me, being somebody who liked to draw, I really learned to draw and cartoon from comic books. I can remember being 7 years old and having the chicken pox and laying in bed and drawing from a comic book. And I can remember, and that became something, especially when my father passed away, it was a way that I kind of immersed myself in my addiction, which was comic books. So I've been a comic book collector for 50 odd years. And I have a very big collection of comic books. And when I came to town here in Indianapolis, I used to go to comic book conventions in New York and sell my stuff. When I came here, nobody was doing one. It was there had been ones before, but there was nothing going on. So I started a comic book convention. It's a small one, not like the big ones, like like on Big Bang Theory or anything like that. It's just a little one that's local, but I enjoy doing it, and I bring in guests and have dealers and stuff like that. So it's kind of a way to have my little addiction for these silly things, which have kind of become a big deal. A lot of movies.
Big part of your life.
Yeah, big part of my life.
So 3 more cartoons and maybe a question for
Okay.
you, because I think you could handle this. Scooby Dooby Doo,
Where are you?
That was a great show. Casper the Friendly Ghost.
Right.
And you remember Felix the Cat? That's
Felix
an
the
old
Cat.
one.
Felix the Cat. The wonderful, wonderful cat. I don't
know the word.
I don't know either.
Okay, so here's a question. Does anyone out there know anything about Asperger's? I know you've worked with people. I'm
sure.
dealing with somebody who's got it, and I think he's cut me off. Is anybody familiar? Can you say a little bit about Asperger's?
Well, that's a form of autism, and there's a spectrum, is what they figured out, right? And they don't really talk about Asperger's as much anymore, but it does exist. And so it's someone who is not so comfortable with contact, not so good with social skills. At the extreme autism, those folks really are pretty shut down. Asperger's, they just seem a little odd. They may, overly focus on something. Like I had a client who was an Asperger's kid, and he was very focused on movie reviews and, just something like that. And they talk about things incessantly, but it's more social skill, right? And so what's the problem with the Asperger person?
The guy's cutting off. Emotionally.
Yeah, and I think that's
what they do.
That's what they do. That's kind of the normal part of that.
Don't take it personally.
Yeah. Don't take it personally, and maybe find ways that, I don't know what the answer is. Depends on the person, right? It depends on the person, right? Find ways to kind of deal with, like Mark's saying, not to take it personally, or find ways to connect with this person in something they might be interested in. Is this person a boyfriend? Is this person a child? Who is this person? That's the question, right?
Since we're being silly tonight, then some other people are being silly. This lady said, Jackie said she knows an ass who eats burgers.
An Asperger.
I don't think that's what it is, Jackie. I think it's what Andy said.
That's me.
Smart
I'm an Asperger.
Well, I've got a bunch of long questions to answer. Do you got more to say before you?
No, thank you for having me,
home.
And you're a very good interviewer. I didn't know this about you after 25 years or more of knowing you. Thank you.
Enjoyed it.
Enjoyed it too.
All right, brother.
I will come back sometime.
Okay, we'll look forward to that.
All right. Bye, guys and gals. I need to move that over.
Thanks, Andy.
You're welcome.
Hey, y'all. I'm in a sort of a chillaxed mood tonight, if y'all didn't notice that. Tom and Jerry. How do we not mention Tom and Jerry? Right? Okay, so I have got 5 long pieces of business, and I will be getting your questions, and we'll fit those into. I think we've got about 50 minutes to go. But this first one, I'm going to call her name Sue. Her name's not Sue, but Andy is nice. Andy is one of the nicest people you'll ever meet. Just a sweetheart. But I meant to get to this last week, and so there's a long question here, and I want to address it. And then I've got poetry, and I've got shorter questions. So Mighty Mouse was badass. Okay. Hi, Mark. Your gentleness is refreshing in videos and email. I joined you for the live streaming Church for the Narcissistically Abused on the 31st of January, and it was nurturing. Last week's live stream was awesome too, with Karen Henry Smith. I easily, excuse me, related to the pain of rejection as she shared. Karen referenced June Hunt, a Christian counselor from the programs Hope for the Heart and Hope in the Night. Hope in the Night. I like that. A live program on oneplace.com. June's programs have really helped me through the years, but I'm not sure that narcissistic abuse has been referenced. I recall that you mentioned M. Scott Peck's book, People of the Lie, and I agree that his explanations didn't fully explain narcissistic abuse. Hey, Lizard, what's up? I got a little thing I'm going to say about you in a little bit. Hercules? I don't remember Hercules. So here's the question. My story feels similar to David and King Saul from your video on traumatizing transitions. I'm employed as a middle manager in an agency in my state. However, program administration is handled locally by city officials. A certain retired lawyer was appointed as our president for the agency, and he hired others, friends and cronies, to serve as directors. When the newly hired president in my section came, I was instrumental in helping her navigate agency protocol, resources, etc. I was not aware that she despised me until years of incomplete work showed that to me. Meanwhile, I began to plan my exit from the agency by starting a graduate program. The president and the two supervisors began to harass me, discard completed work, and threatened to report to HR that I abandoned my job if I left for school that day, after they approved a request to change my work hours for school. Hercules went back to the 60s. The tuition I paid was forfeited since I was allowed to withdraw from the grad program on the day after tuition could be refunded. Later, while I was seated in a meeting with the assistant director, check this out, the same director headbanged us both. They were at a business meeting, and this lady headbanged her. Seriously? That's pretty wild. Again, the retired lawyer covered up her actions, prevented police intervention to have her arrested, even though I called the police 4 times. The judge sent me an email to the rest of the staff that speaking with the media will result in termination. So, in the midst of fighting these monsters, I had pre-colon cancer, and before undergoing surgery was a adenoma was found on my parathyroid. These are medical terms, I'm sorry. It was a battle to be approved for family leave since, frankly, they sort of hoped I would die. For 2 years, I suffered with migraine, headaches, anxiety, and abuse. by her friends who either blocked my path or rammed into me when I ventured away from the safety of my office. By God's incomparable grace, I'm still alive and very healthy. 5 years ago, when my beloved brother became ill with two illnesses, I was not approved to change my schedule to go on vacation and take care of him. When his condition worsened, he moved with my other brother and his wife to Tennessee. I was approved to see him on 2 occasions in 11 months. I really miss him. During our last visit in 2016, he asked me if the situation had improved. And even though his bodily functions were shut down, he was thinking of others. When he was born in 1969, it was on my 7th birthday, and he was a gift to me. His name means great and gift. When he died, his death could not be announced at work, and no condolences followed. The flying monkeys know that at work and are pleased to comply with the director's wishes. Hang with me, folks, here. I'm almost done. Although the director's 60-year-old husband has end-stage Alzheimer's disease, abuse by proxy continues while she's currently taking family leave to care for her husband. In March, the new director began with his line of ratifying abuse of this director, including the company lawyers making policies more punitive. I have suffered being misunderstood by church members and friends who questioned me for not leaving the job. I am able to understand why my former on and off again boyfriend of 7 years agreed with the workplace abuse. In retrospect, revealed his narcissistic abuse and lack of empathy. He married somebody else shortly after we broke up. Although I was devastated for a long time, it was for the best, and it didn't last. And unfortunately, my family of origin and ex-husband fall in the same category of being narcissistically abusive, as did my daddy, and mostly due to substance abuse. What's familiar can be what we, get stuck in, and it can be deadly, says T.D. Jakes. My favorite Mark Smith videos is the 15 ways that I defeated my narcissist. That's a little hard to admit for a good performance-based, empathetic Christian lady. I've only known about your YouTube abuse videos for about 6 months, and I plan to heal as much as possible so that I may begin to enjoy my life. I really like what becomes of the broken-hearted video too, because I was waiting for you to start dancing. Anyway, so Sue, I don't know if anybody relates to that. Does anybody else? This person, her name's Sue. Does she work for the WWF? What's the WWF? Folks, I think narcissistic abuse by proxy is just one of the most wicked, hurtful, vicious, because you don't see it coming. And it's coming from so many directions, and there's negative energy that you don't know why it's there. And of course, Sue, we would all encourage you in the long run to find another place to work. There's no future for you working here. Find another career, reinvent yourself. But sometimes when you're in an environment like that, you're always going to be the redheaded stepchild. In the short run, World Wrestling Federation. The headbutting, the World Wrestling Federation. You would think, I imagine in that organization, if you're having a meeting, it's okay to headbutt somebody. But rely on the grace of God. watch a lot of YouTube videos, go get personal therapy, take very good care of yourself, and, find yourself a new gig, because that place will never be safe and it'll never be a place where you can have joy. Okay, Lizard, I imagine my assistant over there already put the link. People were wanting to know how we can share messages with each other privately, but safely, because there are some unsafe people. Robert says workplace bullying and smear campaigns are so long drawn out, and you must return and punch in, like you can't escape it. I've been picked on a lot, but not to that much extent. So that link is on there. Scroll back, and if you want to send a message to any of the wonderful people without putting your email address out there, we do have somebody sort of harassing people, and if you put your email address, they might even join your channel and then send you a message, and they'll say awful things about us, so please ignore that. Jackie says, my old boss was a narcissistic pig, but he's gone to pig heaven or hell. I bet he went to pig hell, Jackie. That's just a guess of mine. Okay. You know what? I've got 2 more questions, but Hong Kong Phooey, that was a good show. Little eccentric, Hong Kong Phooey. That was a funny show. Anyway, a lot of y'all are subscribed to our channel, and you watched my video I made on Saturday called Whence Was Your Shattering Birthed? How many people you know use whence in sentences? I'm a odd person. But I don't know. I'm going to go ahead and share it. And if you've already heard it, I don't mean to bore you with that. But some of you haven't. And it just brings up, I brought up an interesting topic that I wanted to discuss. So, whence was your shattering birthed? Violent tornadoes brought disturbingly regular carnage and ruination upon the little shack that I call my life. I thought I'd figured out why. I had been spawned, after all, by a tsunami of rage, instability, thunderclouds, and batshit crazy. My mother. I understood the meaning and the purpose of love. You marry your unresolved issues. So naturally, I was drawn enthusiastically and wooed annihilation, wreckage, femme fatales, and the daughters of the devil himself. That's my kind of woman. Used to be, not anymore. Violent, turbulent tornadoes continued their disturbingly regular carnage and ruination upon my little shack that I call my life. The tornadoes would envelop me. They weren't just flung at me by my wicked collection of cluster bees. Occasionally, a dark, rumbling hurricane would subvert, slaughter, and slay me in the workplace. Then it hit me. I saw it finally. It wasn't that I was just fearlessly and foolishly playing in the path of murderous tornadoes. I was actually spawning tornadoes from within myself. My hidden dark side would hurl rage and emotional violence into the universe, where it would slowly spiral and spin into a gale force of nature 100 times stronger, a hate-seeking missile aimed directly at my humble little shack. My grandfather had twin tornadoes of arrogance and unaccountability that invited liquidation and bankruptcy. My mother's duplicity invited whirlwinds of scrutiny from the FBI and ultimate imprisonment. Spawning self-destructive tornadoes seems to be in my blood. Violent, turbulent tornadoes no longer visit my little shack. The winds have been wonderfully calmed. The hurt beneath my infantile rage has finally been cried through and healed. Ironically, I needed the wreckage of the storms to heal my wounds. Violent, turbulent tornadoes no longer visit my little shack. Woody the Woodpecker rocked. So, little commentary on my poetry. I didn't come up with that insight. One of our therapists here, Steve Cooper, in a group supervision meeting last week, I said, "Yeah, I keep getting flattened by these storms that keep coming after me." And he goes, "Dude, let's rethink that. You're just not attracting them. They come from inside you." I just wondered if anybody else recognized that or resonated with it. That when you're wounded and you're hurt, that in your woundedness and hurt, that you put out really negative energy, and when you do that, eventually that negative energy comes back and causes you some damage and some hurt. So Sideways says, if only a tornado would come along and come along and wipe out the Hallmark Channel. Random statements, I know, but I have issues with the fantasy-laden themes of those movies. Okie doke. Robert loves my word usage every now and again. So anyway, that for me, it's been a real freeing insight that the world actually is fair. And I had a lot of violence and rage in my spirit from my infantile abandonment. And it's just taken the last 2 years of a lot of trauma and a lot of woundedness in order for me to, to work through that stuff. So I'm wishing all of you peace and tranquility in your spirits and in your lives. What we've been through in narcissistic abuse, it's just emotionally violent. I was working with a lady today, and I had never seen so much hurt in a person's eyes. I was looking at her eyes. She didn't want to look at her little iPhone parked in a car in Baltimore. And I got her to look down at her phone. And I said, I've never seen such pain. And I said, oh, I do remember one person who seemed to be as shattered as you. and I said that was me 2 years ago. So we go through emotionally violent things. Soren, how do we become more positive? How do you keep your spirit up? Dude, it's really not about being positive. It's just about healing. It's about crying. It's about getting emotional support. So that would be my biggest thing is understand that you're not victimized in your situation. It's the universe trying to teach you and bless you and heal you. Get a lot of nurturing and support. Learn how to love yourself, and do a lot of crying. Hey, we're talking about cartoons. I was at Kohl's and I saw this little necklace that has Superman on it, and it resonated with me. I don't feel like Superman. A lot of times I feel like a fragile little boy, but I'm confessing superpowers. I'm confessing strength and self-esteem and a bright future, and it's about believing in yourself and believing in your courage and believing in your gifts. Heidi H. Does anybody else experience nightmares that include the narcissistic abuser and other family members? My birth mother thinks it's ridiculous they have nightmares. Yeah, I've been having frequent nightmares, Heidi, and it's not ridiculous. And what I've been finding out is it's usually not even about the narcissist. When you have dreams, you dream in code, and so if you're dreaming about something hurtful and dangerous, naturally our narcissistic abuser is probably going to be the one that shows up. I recently had a nightmare about my former fiance, and I woke up and I thought it was about her, and I came to work and I processed it in our group, and they were saying, I think it's this other fear, stuff going on at work. So we're big believers in understanding and embracing the truth in your dreams. You can go online, write your dreams down, go online and see what they say your dream stands for. But it's not that you had, a bad, potato, as Scrooge said. It's you doing therapy and recovery work in your sleep. So I'm going to have a cheese stick break. Okay, I got two more not so long questions. Gail, I hope it's okay that I use your name. Gail, are you in the house? I think Gail tried to get on last week and somehow she was blocked. She might be on the naughty list when she should be on the nice list, so we'll look into that. Anyway, Gail, you can watch the rerun. Mark, I tried to be part of the Tuesday night church session. However, my comments were blocked. I'm hoping it was a fluke on my own device. I have a question. You guys have seen Gail on the show. I have run into two of my ex-narcissists over the past week, one of which was years ago in my life and one of which was just months ago. They both gave me the evil eye. It was like out of the corner of their eye with their head cocked upward. It was like they were shooting daggers at me. No words were exchanged, but it was like I could read them.
like they were saying to me, how dare you leave me? How dare you be successful and move on without me? How dare you move on? How dare you live without me? I could read them like a book. And she asked me if I ever got the evil eye. Did any of your exes give you that evil look that you felt go through your bones? So I'll ask you guys that. Any of you get the evil eye by a narcissistic ex? I have not. I actually, the last time I saw the last two cluster bees I was involved with, there was sweetness and kindness and a positive ending, and I haven't seen them since. So I don't know about the evil eye. So jump in if anybody has any evil eye feedback. Sarah says, do narcissists mellow with age? That's a good question, Sarah. I don't think there is such a thing as here's all the characteristic of a narcissist. There's a lot of different kinds of narcissists. I think a lot of narcissists get worse with age, but I imagine there probably are some that can get better, or at least mellower. Still nasty and hurtful. Okay, someone asked another question up here. Soren says they get worse. I would say most of them get worse with age, actually. Jackie says, what does it mean if someone goes into a catatonic state? This happened to my older sister. I think that's when you've had too much trauma and your brain shuts down and you go bye-bye. There was this really cool scene in the movie Color Purple. Has everybody watched the movie The Color Purple? Probably haven't watched it for a while. Oprah, Danny Glover, and Whoopi Goldberg. And a fantastic movie on narcissistic abuse syndrome. And Oprah plays this character who was beaten so badly, she became catatonic. And of course, Whoopi Goldberg's character was abused and sexually abused and controlled, and basically was a slave of Danny Glover's character. But she'd had about enough, and one day she grabbed herself a sharp knife at the dinner table and put it at his throat and was getting ready to do some slicing. And she said, "I'm leaving today." And then she left. And Oprah's character watched that, and it brought her right out of her catatonic state. So anyway, that's a good picture, because she went right back to being feisty and colorful and fearless. Simon, can you talk about suppressed anger? I bury it too much rather than healthily express it. Well, Simon, one of the definitions of depression is suppressed anger. It's not good for your emotional health to suppress your anger. And really, that's one of the things in recovery that we try to do is we try to get to a place where we can be authentic and we can see anger as a healthy energy that's meant to protect us and to help us have boundaries. But if you hold it in, it'll give you ulcers, it'll give you high blood pressure, it'll make it hard for you to sleep, you'll become passive aggressive, and you'll become depressed. More cheese snack. I got behind in the comments. is it Jackie? Are you the one with the cat named Marky Mark? Soren says, how do we deal with siblings who insist on being around narcissists, but then call us when they get abused? I'm tired of explaining 2 + 2 = 4. Well, this can be not only siblings. This can be, our friends. In my case, it could be my clients. And honestly, I really don't judge them very, very harshly. I don't let them. I don't let them vent and triangle all over me. What I do is, get them to see their underlying wound. But y'all ain't nobody's therapist. My role is different as a therapist. So if they're calling and venting and triangling and throwing up all over you, then I would just ask them not to do that. You can talk, but don't be throwing up on me. It doesn't feel good. Okay, this is from, I'm going to call her Susan, because I didn't get her permission to use her first name. Hi, Mark. I'm curious. Have you come across anyone who is writing for people like me who have ended up in relationships with people recovering from abuse within their family of origin, and often their relationships? My partner has done a pretty good job of his own recovery. We've had some bumps recently, but overall he gets back on his feet much quicker than when he first started working on his issues. The mind-blowing issue is watching his daughters struggling with the issues because their mother is a rageaholic. Sometimes I'm hoping I'm not messing them up more because of how I'm having to respond to their actions and reactions to ensure that their lives are somewhat vaguely normal. I was tickling the list between them and the girls score a solid 17 of the characteristics you described. I do my best to respond out of a place of love and in my adult ego state, but some of their stuff is beyond my ability to understand. Sometimes I'm just having to say, I don't like this behavior because it causes chaos and it creates distrust. In this household, we don't tell tales. We sit down and work through issues like the ones you are raising. I get a fair bit of teenage stomp and door slam in response to this. Well, that's age appropriate. Is this the right way to react? So Susan, I think you're handling it brilliantly to respond out of a place of love and adult ego state, and to say you don't like the behavior because it causes chaos and creates distrust, and we sit down and talk about things. Brilliant. So I'm all out of questions, and Katie says, I've missed most of this. Boo hoo. Well, you can watch it on a rerun. Yep. Robert says, some say anger comes from frustration. Think on your frustration triggers, and maybe it triggers from how it reminds you of something from your past. A lot of truth to that. Sideways says, when self-fulfilled people declare their needs, how is it different from than writing scripts for people as a codependent? Do we still have to make our boundaries known to those whom don't respect us? That's a real good question, Sideways. My definition of a healthy, happy person is, number one, you're in touch with your own needs, which for many people disqualifies them right out of the chute. The second thing is having a vulnerable, pleasant, firm, non reactive voice where you ask for goodies, you ask to get your needs met. And then the third thing is you surround yourself who have the ability and capacity to meet your needs. So, declaring needs is really healthy. It's not writing scripts for people as a codependent. It's people respond to vulnerable, sweet needs where you ask. One of the coolest thing about being a therapist is you get people in and you train them to stop being defensive, and you get them to understand the wound underneath their partner's behavior, and you get them to start having empathy for those wounds. And man, it's a beautiful thing. I was working with a couple online this evening, and I was talking about some of her underlying wounds, and she started to weep. And then the husband, who had been a little resistant to some of her needs, just reached over and held her and hugged her. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing. Robert's watching some great old videos on car wash traffic. You know what? We talked last week about car wash issues. Karen was tempted to be a little fussy with somebody, and I was almost got fussy. And so I went to the car wash the other day twice, and the first one, it was broke. You ever go to the car wash and it's not working? I went there and I got turned away. I did get a thing for a free car wash. And then I showed up at 10 minutes after 8, and it's normally open till 9, but it was Sunday and it was closed. So sometimes the universe doesn't always meet your need. Lizard. Mark, why is it that I need another girl to validate what is happening to me? Lizard, tell me a little bit more about the question. When we're not happy, when we're not balanced, when we're not calm, when we're not in love with ourselves, then we rely too much on exterior affirmation and not enough on interior affirmation. And the worst and most dangerous and most harmful place you can seek validation is in romantic love. Love hurts. Romantic love is meant to, I get couples in and I say, y'all know that marriage is designed to make you friggin' miserable. And they usually chuckle and they go, well, good, because we're doing pretty good, because we're both pretty frickin' miserable. So Robert says, thanks, Brother Mark. I'm thinking about life coaching when I get better. Robert, you would be a fantastic life coach. You love words. You love inspiration. You have a big heart. I think you could help a lot of people. I really do. I've been paying attention to your comments, and I think you got some skills. Brenda is wonderful. She's thriving. She's reinventing herself as a full-time life coach with her own practice. And she's happier than she's ever been. Her company is going to be called Renspire. Like inspired by Renspire, and it has like this big R and this purple butterfly. and she'll be going live with her own website, and she's going to put her videos up. So you'll be hearing a lot. She's a star on the rise, and just temporarily had a hiccup, but she's blessed and doing very well. Sarah, is it normal for a narcissist to seem predatory? Is it normal for a dog to bark? Is it normal for a cat to meow? Their very nature is to be predatory, and they are dangerous. So Lizard says, I need to confirm from someone else that he is doing to me that he has done to somebody else. Oh, I gotcha. It's because many times we don't value our own truth. With these last 2 cluster Bs I've been involved with, I don't really care what anybody else on the planet says about them. I know the truth about how they treated me. I don't need to take a poll, but if you're early in your recovery, or you're fragile, or you're shattered, getting a little affirmation from somebody else is helpful. Sideways, love hurts for sure. Happy Valentine's Day. We're a thriving motley crew because we're not out on sweepingly romantic dates on Valentine's Day. We're gathered together as a recovery community, and we're celebrating our recovery, and we're supporting each other, and we're healing. Jackie says, I like Renda. Hey, take the H out of the Renda. She didn't got an H in her Renda. It's like Linda with an R. Robert, thank you so much. You kind of poke at some of my old talents. I'll remember your support when I doubt. Dude, you got skills. You absolutely, positively could be a really good life coach. So, narcissists are forces of nature, as Sam Vaktin has said. Okay, well, you know what? Guess what? We people in recovery who are connected to our hearts, who are learning how to love ourselves, who exercise our bodies, who take medicine if we need to, who work 12-step programs, who watch YouTube videos, who cry and cry and cry and cry, and who have the courage to face off with complex PTSD. We're the forces of nature. We're the forces of nature. Just remember that. Our power and the strength that we have is even stronger than it. Narcissists are weak people. They're weak, they're protected. The storm came to the warrior, and the storm said, you better watch out. You're not going to be able to handle the destruction of the storm. And the warrior whispered to the storm and said, I'm the storm. I'm the storm. Yeah, Heidi says we have tender hearts. And we do. We have tender hearts. And that's the healthy thing, is it's about having good boundaries and protection, but it's having a tender heart underneath. You know what I've noticed? I hope this doesn't sound arrogant on my part, but I'm 57 years old, and I don't know. through this last 2 years of all kinds of narcissistic abuse, it's created like a tenderness and a sweetness and a kindness in me. And I can be very tender and very affirming and kind, not only with my my clients and in my relationships, but with my staff and with my friends and with my kids, where you can be firm, but you can be vulnerable, and you can just offer people all kinds of grace. It's like I almost have to pinch myself. It's like, who am I? You know, I used to spawn rageful storms from inside myself and try to control people. And through the blessing of narcissistic abuse, through the blessing of shattering, it's like I've been transformed into a strong, courageous, caring, healthily self-loving, very kind and nurturing person that I sort of like. That's something. Simon says, I am the storm. I like that. Soren says, my grandfather said, you can be humble or you can be humbled. You know, generally, Soren, what I'm saying is, I believe that I've come to, I believe I've come to some humility, but it's only because I got humbled, you know. So it's good. It's all good. Jackie says Jesus calmed the storm. I know. So that's what I'm saying, Jackie, is from within ourselves, as we heal, there's a calmness, there's a peace. But when I say I am the storm, what I mean is when you go to work and you're getting bullied by narcissistic abuse by proxy, and people are headbutting you at a meeting table, and people are lying and keeping you from visiting your sick brother, you can have a ferocity and a courage and a braveness and a steel in your spine and courage in your heart and Superman, Superwoman powers to be able to not back down and not get abused further, and to be able to thrive and be blessed in the world. Søren says he's been humbled. So we're going to go ahead and wind down. Andy started about 8 o'clock. I'm sorry for the technical issues that we had tonight. We had some kind of internet issue. I love you guys. I love this show. Whenever people contact us, we get contacted a lot, and they're like, help. And they're like, I ain't got no money. And I'm like, I wish I could help everybody. I wish we could help everybody, but I got very little energy and very little time. And I got a lot of expenses. So I can't work with people for free. But I say join us every Tuesday night from 8 o'clock to 9:30 for the Church for the Narcissistically Abused. And send in your questions ahead of time and talk to each other and offer community. And thank you, Sideways. Offer community and support to people who know what you're talking about. Any other thoughts? Any other comments as we wind down? I appreciated Andrew Holzman coming tonight and sharing. Andy and I have been partners a long time.
Mm.
And, I just got a happy Valentine's Day wish from an old friend. And he really does have a lot of wisdom, Andy Holzman. Remember the song, "This is the End of Our Show. I'm sorry that we have to go." I'm so glad we had this time together. Was that Carol Burnett? The Tiny Talent Time. I didn't watch that. Yogi Bear. Now there's some cartoon right there. Yogi Bear and Boo Boo. What else we got? Semper. How do you know when it's time to go? That you're dealing with a narcissist and there's no helping them. Well, Semper, you got to hit bottom, and you got to have your gizzard cut out. So many people take crap and take crap and take crap, and you'll know when it's time to go. You'll be bleeding all over the place. Your gizzard will be cut out. You'll be shattered in a million pieces, and you wish you'd have got out sooner. You hear me? Hey, boo-boo. Happy Valentine's Day, folks. Let me suggest that you spend the week really loving yourself. Encourage you guys to get a piece of music that's calming and play it for 7 minutes, and hold on to a little stuffed animal that represents your inner child. And as you breathe in, say, "I love myself." And as you breathe out, you just say whatever comes to mind. And I had a particularly good meditation session yesterday. And it wasn't a sad thing. It wasn't a hanging on by life, by my fingernails. It was I feel blessed and I'm ready to dance in the end zone and spike the football. So try that. It's from a book that I've mentioned a lot. Love yourself as if your life depended upon it. So good night, everybody. Really do care about you guys. Have a wonderful week. Jillian says, happy Valentine's to you too, Mark, and everybody. Thank you for another great Tuesday night church. Ruth, hi, Ruth. Ruth is a wonderful person and has a big, wonderful, sweet heart. God bless you, Ruth. Okay, well, if you pick, we got, you pick up a critter, they might get a little squirmy. Maybe your critters are like real docile and they like to snuggle. I picked Mr. Polly up. You saw him. I picked him up a little bit ago. He got a little squirmy. Let's practice loving ourselves. So anyway, thanks everybody for watching. Thank you for watching our videos. Give a commercial here. Hey, Wayne Sharp, what's up, dog? I feel sad holding my stuffed doggy. Well, brother, you probably got some sadness. Hi, Ruth. If you haven't ever read any of my books, if you got abandonment issues and you got shame, and you're getting over affair issues, there's some good books on our website, familytreecounseling.com. And I ask you guys a favor, and the favor is, could y'all maybe forward some of our videos to like your Facebook friends or your narcissistic abuse group? We had our videos cut in half here. Those videos will be back, I believe, with another form here on our channel before too long. But if you could pass on the word, we could help more people and invite more people to this experience. God bless you too, Ruth. Good night, everybody. Bye-bye.